Welcome everyone, my name is Ferris, and I've been getting a lot of questions about the waterfall pictures that I posted from my Havasupai Falls trip. If you haven't checked them out already, here's a couple just for you to see, and they're also on my Instagram page for you to check out as well. I'm on my way to pick up my buddy Mikey right now. We're going to go to a local waterfall here in the area, and I'll show you exactly how I took those pictures. But for now, I'm a windows down kind of guy, so I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Alright, so maybe I picked the wrong day to film outside. Maybe. I'm not admitting to anything. But we can keep going here in a more controlled environment so you guys can actually hear what I'm saying. Alright, so with all cameras, no matter low-end, high-end camera, after all the brouhaha that all your expensive DSLRs have nowadays, it boils down to one thing. It's how much light enters the camera. Photography is about writing with light, being in control of how much light goes into the camera. And we control that with three things: shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, or the level of sensitivity of your sensor. So with the camera, you can bring down your f-stop to about f22. Most models of cameras that I've seen go down to about f22. There are some that go smaller than that, but the majority of the ones are f22, so we're just going to say f22 for the purposes of this video. Even if you go down to f22, which is the smallest size that you can get the aperture, you can only get a shutter speed as low as about 1 second, maybe a little bit more, but still that's not going to be enough to get a long exposure like I've been doing with the waterfalls that you've seen. So what do you need to do that? So past a second in an f22, if you open up the shutter longer, 2, 3, 15, even 30 seconds, you're just going to be letting too much light in and your screen's just going to go completely white. So the only thing you can do is putting something in front of the lens to block the light from going in. And the system that I use is Lee filters. I just happen to like their stuff. There's lots of different systems you guys can choose from. You can go glass, you can go acrylic, and my filter of choice is the Lee 10-stop filter. This will block 10 stops of light from going in, allowing you to open that shutter and keep it open for a lot longer of time. So there's three parts to this filter system. There's one, of course, is the actual filter, but how do you put it up against the lens and keep it there? Some people just hold it up in front of the lens and kind of hope for the best. For not that much more money, you can get a holder system, which comes in a nice little protective bag, and inside you're gonna have two things, right? You're gonna have one is the lens adapter. Now this is based on the size of your lens, and every lens is going to be different, and it's written on the lens what size thread it is. On the very front of the lens there's threads that you can thread this into, and this particular one is an 82 millimeter thread, which fits into, you guessed it, my 82 millimeter thread on the front of my 24-70 G Master lens. So once you have this on the front of the lens, the actual filter holder, you can see has a couple of teeth here, has 3 teeth, and one of them is spring loaded that will hook onto the lens adapter, and then from there you can put the actual filter in place, as you see how I have here. Now, important thing to note is that one, you're going to need a tripod, because anything below 1/60th of a second, it's going to be hard to get any kind of sharpness out of it if you're just hand holding. So imagine just sitting there for 30 seconds and hoping for the best. Not gonna happen. So a good solid tripod is what you're gonna need for sure. Second, before attaching this system on, what you want to do, you want to make sure to get the shot set up beforehand. Get your composition down, get your focus down. Once you have that, then you can put the filter system on. Because once the filter system's on, it's going to be really dark in the viewfinder and you won't be able to nail that focus the same way as you would as if you didn't have it on. Alright guys, so here we are in Lightroom. I took a total of 6 images that day. So let's go into it and see what we can find here. So the first image I want to show you guys is, of course, this is just the normal image that you would take. No filter, no nothing. This is just camera, lens, scenery. This is, you can see here at the top left, 1/125th of a second, f10 at ISO 100. Let's go in there and check real quick to make sure. Nice and sharp. Everything's nice and sharp. So the water is a little bit blurry, but if I want it to be crystal clear and freeze the motion, I would have shot at something like 1/500th of a second or higher to stop that water. But that's not the purpose of this video. This is just to show you guys the difference between filter and non-filter. Again, this is non-filter, nothing too spectacular, right? Beautiful little area, nice little pond, middle of suburbia, kind of a cool spot, but nothing too fancy. So let's go into and see what the filter does for us here. Let's click on the first one, and this is kind of zoomed out a little bit, but you can see the water is just so much more silky here, and it gives it a real nice look when it hits the pond at the bottom. And notice in the pond as well, we don't have any of the ripples in the water because that's all been blurred out by the long exposure there. So that looks really nice. So again, it was a windy day out. One thing to remember is that anything that is moving will become blurry. So in this particular instance here, you can see that these bushes here are a little bit blurry, and that's because of the wind moving them around in that 15 seconds that I took this image at. This right here as well is super blurry. Again, not because I wasn't in focus, but because anything that moves within that period of time that the shutter is open is going to become blurry. So this one was at 15 seconds, f14, ISO 100, 24 millimeters. This is backed out. This is shot with the Sony 24-70 G Master. This lens is absolute butter, super sharp, super happy with it. Yes, it's expensive, but for me it is absolutely worth it. So let's keep going here and check the other pictures. I kind of like this little zoomed in at 41 millimeters a little bit better, just because there's a lot of stuff here that doesn't need to be seen, right? All this area here in the on the outside and around the little pond. The main focus of this picture is the waterfall and the pond, and if we zoom in and clear out all the other stuff, it just becomes a nicer image in my opinion. So kept this one at 15 seconds, f14 and ISO 100. Again, 41 millimeters compared to the 24 the previous shot, and again, nice and crisp and sharp on this one. No complaints at all. Let's keep going here and see what else we got. I really like this, and in this one, give it a second for it to render. But you notice on this one, it's not as sharp. It's a little bit blurry. So this image for me is not useful. From far away, you can't really tell, but I am a little bit of a nitpicker when it comes to this. This image for me is not usable, and most likely culprit of this is because of the wind that day, and the length of time that the shutter was open. This probably moved my tripod, and any kind of movement in the tripod is going to create a blurry image. So this to me is absolute trash. Won't be using that. Let's check this one out. Kind of same thing on this one. Yeah, just not usable there. From far away, again, you can't really tell, but from up close, just not good. If you print this in any kind of size, it's just not going to come out nice and crisp, and that's not what I want my images to represent. I want to represent a good solid image. Let's check this one out. This one looks really nice. There we go. That's a lot better. So it's definitely in your favor to shoot more than one picture. Don't just one and done it, right? Don't just click, wait for that shutter to close, and then pack up your bags and go. No, you want to spend the time and make sure that you got it right. So this particular image was 20 seconds at 14 ISO 100. Again, at 44 millimeters. That looks like it's the sweet spot for this area. And you know, I like this one as well because you have this highlight right here of the water coming down. It's almost a reflection within the little pond of the waterfall. Okay, so once we've decided on what image to use, let's dive into these sliders and see what we can do to bring out some more information from this image. First thing I like to do is scroll down and click on these two little boxes, and that's remove chromatic aberration and enable profile corrections. Now there probably isn't any chromatic aberration in this. Just as a force of habit, I always like to click it. Enable the profile correction. The lens information is stored in each image, and Lightroom recognizes that and will make any kind of corrections it thinks that the image needs. All right, and then from here, I kind of like to just start from the very top, right? And work my way down. So temperature, looks a little bit blue to me, so it was a warm day out, it was middle of the day, sunshine, so definitely want to bring that up a little bit. And a good rule of thumb is that you can go too far and then work your way back down to where it looks normal. I think too far is somewhere around here, around 9,000, and as shot was around 6,000, so maybe we can go up to like 7,500, 7,800, looks just about right. I'm not going to mess with the tint at all. This is an overall tint, and if any direction you go, it's not going to enhance this particular image, so we're just going to keep that at where it was shot. Exposure, plenty of light, don't need to do anything as far as bringing out more light in this. Where I do need a little bit of help here is this dark area here, where of course there's no sunshine. So what do I do here? Bring up the shadows, and sure enough, that information just comes right out. Also made the rest of the image a little brighter. I'm not sure if I want that, so we'll bring the highlights down. Not gonna mess with the black and whites. This is just kind of a quick run through of what I do. Clarity, just a little bit on the clarity. Dehaze, valuable tool, but not necessary for this image. Vibrance, we can get a little more color out of it. Maybe that's a little too much, bring it down to about 35, around there. And then saturation, just a tiny, maybe that's a little too much. Maybe around 7 or 6 should do it. I scroll down here and up the luminance on the noise reduction slider, and then just to make sure everything is still nice and crisp and sharp. A lot of detail in these rocks. Maybe too much noise reduction. Let's see what happens if we bring it down. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. And really, that's really all I do. Let's try a little bit of post-crop vignette. To give it a little bit of drama, and maybe bring that over this way a little more. Again, what I want the eye to go to is the waterfall and the pond. All this stuff here on the sides, not really important to the image. So something like this, but I don't like the waterfall smack dab in the middle of the image. Let's keep going here. Bring that maybe back out a little bit this side. And that's about it, you guys. Again, this is just a quick fly through of what I normally do on my images. I don't like to make my images unrealistic. I try to make them look as close as possible to what I saw with my own eyes that day. And to me, this is exactly how it looked. Again, the only thing that we're doing here is putting that filter so that the water just looks nice and smooth and creamy. And alright guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys found this helpful. Any questions or comments, please put them below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and throw me a thumbs up if you thought this video was helpful. See you guys next time.